Welcome back to chemistry, and yes, we are still in chapter 3, nail salon ecology. In part 1, we talked about microbiology, but today we're talking all about infection control. So this is part 2. Listen, this chapter or this section has a lot of information. However, it is extremely important. I know that different states go by different regulations, but I will say that in Illinois, this chapter was what they asked about the most on the state board exam, and that is sanitation, okay? So we're going to discuss infection control, sanitation, disinfection, sterilization, and your equipment, okay? So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Whether you work at home taking clients or in a salon, sanitation is the most important thing that you need to know. And if you ever attend a nail school and you sit for a state board exam, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be the thing that they ask you about the most, okay? So as we know, microbes are everywhere, including the air around us. So infection control requires close attention. But what is infection control? It is the term used to describe efforts to prevent the spread of diseases and kill microbes. This is practiced at 3 varying levels of control. This is through sanitation, disinfection, and sterilization, and we're going to take a look at each one. General practices used during infection control procedures include hand washing, using personal protective equipment such as gloves, safety goggles, and even masks, but it also means properly disinfecting all your nail implements and surfaces to prevent cross-contamination. We know cross-contamination just means bacteria that is spread by contaminated equipment, surfaces, or food. So it's not just to protect your client, but it's also protect you, which is why you should not eat at your station, because if you are not sanitary and you are eating food at your station, whatever bacteria was left from your last client can transfer over into your food, and then that can make you sick, and that's how things get spread. And that's nasty. Also important in infection control is the concept of efficacy, which just means the ability to produce results or effectiveness. Standards have been established that require efficacy labels, as shown here, on all disinfectants to inform the user about what organisms the product is effective against. So if you have a bottle of barbicide already or any other disinfectant, it's that section that tells you that it fights against COVID, HIV, things of that nature. That's that little section, and that's what that label is for. In today's world, infection control has become a major focus of attention. Clients' concerns about safety, along with new standards set by regulatory agencies, have resulted in heightened awareness of the procedures necessary to prevent cross-contamination, especially when giving pedicures. As mentioned previously, the 3 levels of infection control are sanitation, disinfection, and sterilization, and these are all used to protect you and the public you serve. All right, first up, let's talk about sanitation. This is the lowest level of infection control, and it serves as the foundation of your infection control program, okay? The first level of infection control is the physical removal of debris, which reduces the number of microbes present. This also removes organic matter such as blood, nail filing dust, and skin particles, which may interfere with proper disinfection procedures. This practice for sanitation in any spa, salon, or at home, whatever, it is a shared responsibility from everyone that's on the team or just you in order to provide or maintain a healthy environment. The goal of infection control is to minimize the transfer of microorganisms, period. This can be accomplished in many ways, but it begins with cleanliness. Because sanitation is the lowest level of infection control practiced in a salon, spa, or at home, sanitation is performed on non-critical objects, which are objects that come into contact with healthy, unbroken skin. This sanitation begins the process of you protecting you and your clients from a transmission of diseases or infections, okay? Next up, we have disinfection. Now, this is the second level of infection control, and it just means using products or methods that kill or destroy bacteria and a broad spectrum of viruses. However, chemical disinfectants do not eliminate bacterial spores. This was a question I was asked on the state board exam. But this is also the main difference between disinfection and sterilization. So let's go further. Because disinfection products claim to kill or destroy bacteria, and most of these products are toxic, they are regulated by law through a governing agency such as the Environmental Protection Agency, otherwise known as the EPA. Standards for disinfection apply to all non-porous surfaces, tools, and implements in the salon or spa, okay? These objects are considered semi-critical objects and require a high level of disinfection since they may come into contact with skin that is unhealthy or broken, not intact. So say, for example, if your client has a cut on their nail and you're using nippers. So your nippers would be an example of this. And this is just because that tool was exposed to blood during the nail service, okay? And any other nail implement surface that requires pre-cleaning, sanitation, anything like that, disinfection always comes after. So implement disinfection and pre-cleaning can be done by hand or with an ultrasonic cleaning machine, which uses high frequency energy waves. Okay, anybody got time for that? Especially if you're starting out as a beginner nail tech, baby. Grab you a manicure brush, take your tools, and you go to the sink and you scrub them. Okay, that's it. Nobody got time for that. But you want to use an EPA registered broad spectrum hospital level disinfectant, okay, which is going to be effective against HIV, HBV, and it's also tuberculosidal. And it is also recommended to eliminate and minimize occupational exposure to bloodborne pathogens according to the 2001 OSHA standard. Okay, this just means get you some barbicide, okay? Long story short, get you some barbicide. Once you're done pre-cleaning your tools by hand scrubbing them, then you're going to allow your tools to soak in barbicide, which is a disinfectant, okay, before you take your next client. So I just mentioned OSHA, but what is it? So OSHA is an acronym for the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, okay? It was created in 1971 by the Department of Labor to enforce safety and health standards in the workplace. Their standards require that employees be informed of the dangers of the materials used in the workplace and the exposure they may have to toxic substances, and that all workplace conditions are sanitary. So in addition to the efficacy label that we previously talked about, a material safety data sheet, also known as an MSDS, are two important regulations that this agency has instituted to assist in safe operations, okay? A material safety data sheet is just key information on a specific product regarding ingredients, associated hazards, combustion levels, and storage requirements. It is required to keep an MSDS on file for every product used in the salon or spa. So let's dive into sterilization. This is the third and highest level of infection control. It destroys all living organisms, including bacterial spores, which neither sanitation nor disinfection can kill. And that was also a question on the Illinois State Board, okay? It is used less frequently than disinfection, but it is far more effective and it costs a little bit of coin, okay? Certain regulating agencies require sterilization, so check with your area's regulating agency regarding sterilization and its procedures. Numerous sterilization methods exist, including moist or dry heat, which is calibrated to different temperatures, or immersion in liquid chemical sterilizers, okay? Specific calibrations and timeframes are normally required for sterilization procedures. In addition, manufacturer representatives or approved technicians must perform periodic checks to ensure the proper use of procedures and the sterilization equipment. If you've been to a nail salon and you see that little white thing they use that looks like a toaster oven, that's a UV sterilizer, and you put your tools in there and the UV light is what sterilizes their instruments. Now, I don't know if they use them, if all uses them, but hey, I do or have seen it before. So lastly, we're going to talk about quats. Now, what are quats? Quats are quaternary ammonium germicidal detergent solutions, okay? They are sold as disinfectants. They are antifungal, antibacterial, and antiviral, but they are typically not sporicidal or tuberculocidal. They are recommended for the use of environmental sanitation of non-critical surfaces such as floors, furniture, and walls. The newer quaternary ammonium disinfectant cleaners are proven against HIV and hepatitis B virus and are recommended for disinfection of all non-porous implements and surfaces. I know that was a mouthful, so let's break it down simpler terms. So for a quat, 3 things to remember. It's antifungal, antibacterial, and antiviral. And I made this little chart here so we can have a list of what's antiseptic and what's a disinfectant. So antiseptics for us is going to be alcohol, so your normal rubbing alcohol if it's 60%, okay? Peroxide and witch hazel. When we're talking disinfectants, alcohol that is 70% or higher is considered a disinfectant. So for example, at my nail station, I keep 91. If I can find 100, I would keep 100. But I get 91% alcohol, and I love having that at my station as a disinfectant. Also Lysol and chlorine. Okay, so I do also have a bottle of Lysol spray and also a bottle of Clorox to keep my nail station, my workstation clean. And that's whether I was taking clients or even now with me creating powders. Those are the 3 things that I clean my nail space with. Now, I did mention peroxide here. That is also something important that you should keep at your station, because if you accidentally nip your client or cut them, or if they already have a cut and you just want to clean the area, make sure that you have some peroxide or witch hazel at your station. But we will learn a lot more about this in part 3, which we're going to go over safety and first aid. So that's all I have for now. Again, this chapter was infection control. I know it was a lot of information, but I promise you, this is the most important information that you will need to know in nail school, taking clients at home, taking clients in a salon. You have to learn and understand sanitation. Usual, all materials will be in the link tree. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and now Threads at It's Just Chemistry. Per usual, if you have any comments, suggestions, anything, let's chat in the comments below, and we'll talk later. Bye.